What if I told you that your sleep has a direct influence on your exam marks? What if I told you that the difference between a low performing student and a top student is simply not only the amount of hours they're studying, but also the amount of hours of sleep that they're getting? In today's video, I'm going to give you my 8 tips that allowed me to fix my terrible sleep during year 11 and 12 and achieve a 97 plus ATAR. So get your pen, get your paper ready because your sleep is extremely important, and let's get started. So tip number 1 is to fix your identity, right? So you need to identify as someone who is a good sleeper, right? You need to stop saying that I'm bad at sleeping, or, I can never sleep on time and I can never do this, because it starts with an identity level, right? So for me, I used to always identify as someone who slept late and woke up late. Like, that's literally how I saw myself. And the reason being is because I used to just grind Fortnite all the time, right? And I would just stay up with my friends and sleep in and just repeat all the time, right? So I would actually see myself as a bad sleeper, okay? So the first thing you need to do, and believe it or not, this is the first thing, you need to seriously identify as a good sleeper. So right now, tell yourself, I am someone who gets a good sleep and I wake up early and I sleep on time. Like, actually see yourself as that. And when someone asks you, what time do you go to sleep? Tell them that, I'm going to sleep at 9 p.m., for example. And when someone asks you, how's your sleep? Say it's good, right? So actually change your terminology. Don't say, oh, I'm trying to get better sleep. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that, because that's not going to allow you to change, right? So I need you to rock hard right now, shift your identity and be like, I am a good sleeper. Because once you do that, you're going to be able to actually, do the rest of these tips. So that's tip number 1, change your mindset. Tip number 2 is have a consistent bedtime. Okay, this is very, very important. Okay, I used to think that as long as you get 7 hours of sleep, as long as you get 8 hours of sleep, it's all good, right? It's like you don't need to really do anything else, right? But that's not true. You need to make sure you have a consistent sleep time and wake up time. And the reason being is because your body, right? It's like a clock, right? You have a circadian rhythm. And basically what that is, it's like your body calculates, all right, now it's time to go to bed and now it's time to wake up, right? So if you have a consistent bedtime, that means at that specific time, your body is going to be able to be like, okay, now it's time for bed, right? But if your bedtime is messed up and all over the place, right? Let's say, for example, one day you sleep at 9 p.m., then the other day you sleep at 12 a.m., and then the other day you sleep at 1 a.m., and then 3 a.m., and then 11 p.m., your body's like, what the hell's happening here? Are we sleeping at 10, 9, 11? Like, what's happening? And that's what makes it very hard to fix your sleep, right? So you need to, work with your body and pick a specific time and be on time in bed, right? So for me, that's 9:30 to 10. I'm just always in bed. That's my bedtime, full stop, right? And my wake up time is like 5 a.m. or 5:30 p.m. and that's it. And not 5:30 p.m., 5:30 a.m. and that's it. That's my wake up time, okay? Now, when you first start off with doing this, it's going to be pretty hard. I can't lie. Like, I remember I started to fix my sleep during year 11, right? It was very hard at first, right? Because I'd go from getting terrible sleep to now I'm trying to wake up and sleep on time, right? So keep persevering, don't give up, and just keep doing it, right? So start off right now, think of a bedtime, okay? So 9 p.m., 10 p.m. And by the way, you don't necessarily need to sleep early, right? Do you know how I'm telling you to pick a consistent bedtime? I don't mean you have to be early bedtime. You just have to be consistent with it. So whether you sleep at 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. or 12 a.m., you need to be consistent with it, right? Because that's going to allow your circadian rhythm to work properly so you can wake up on time and sleep properly, okay? So tip number 2 right now, pick a bedtime and pick up wake up time and stick to it, okay? That's tip number 2. Tip number 3 is having a wind down routine, okay? This is very important. My wind down routine is 1 hour before bed. And 1 hour before bed, I would journal, I'd plan the next day, I'd make a warm cup of tea, and then I just relax, either by reading or watching a Netflix show, right? Every time, every night, 1 hour before bed, I do it to this day. That's what I do. And the power of having a wind down routine is a few things. Number 1, it helps you go to sleep. It's a wind down routine, meaning it's going to allow you to wind down before bed, right? And you know how sometimes before bed, you're just so hyperactive and you're so energetic, and it's kind of hard to sleep sometimes. That's because you don't have a wind down routine. But by having a specific routine where you relax, you're signaling to your brain every time you do that routine, okay, now it's time for bed, which is going to allow you to go to bed on time and properly, right? So right now, craft a wind down routine. Do it 1 hour before bed, 30 minutes before bed, doesn't matter what it is, but craft a routine of, relaxation, Okay, not playing games, just having a good wind down routine. Okay, that's tip number 3, having a wind down routine. Tip number 4 is mind dumping. Okay, this is very important. So I wouldn't say every night, it really depends, but what you want to do is you want to write down your thoughts and journal before bed. Okay, now mind dumping is where you like literally dump your mind on the paper by writing what's on your mind. And do you know how sometimes it's very hard to go to sleep because you have like a million thoughts going through your head, and like, you know, you're questioning life, and then you're questioning this, and then you have these doubts and blah, blah, blah. You have all these things in your head, right? Mind dumping is what gets rid of that, right? Simply writing down what is on your mind before going to bed is going to take it out of your mind, which is going to allow you to sleep restfully, right? That's simple. Mind dumping before bed, it's a game changer. It's such a simple thing that will allow you to do so well, right, with your sleep. Next tip is tip number 5, avoiding caffeine. Okay. Now, I drink coffee. I drink like 2 a day, 3 a day. So I love coffee, but I do not drink coffee after 4 p.m. Right. So if you're someone, might not apply to you, but if you're someone who drinks coffee or something that's caffeinated, don't drink it after 4 p.m. Some people even say 2 p.m., but don't drink it in the afternoon, okay? Because if you drink caffeine in the afternoon, it is going to impact the quality of your sleep. And if you're like to me, oh no, I'm built differently. No, it's fine. Coffee doesn't affect me. I can drink coffee and go to sleep fine. It affects your quality of sleep, okay? It does. Like on an actual biological level, it does affect your quality of sleep. So don't do that, okay? Tip number 6 is the 3-2-1 rule. And the 3-2-1 rule is this: 3 hours before bed, don't have any heavy meals. 2 hours before bed, don't do any more work. And 1 hour before bed, cut off all your screens and devices, okay? Now, I do follow this rule, but not in the exact specific way, right? So for example, 3 hours before bed, I would still have some food, but just not heavy meals. 2 hours before bed, I wouldn't cut off work. You know, I personally cut off work 1 hour before bed. 2 hours, I don't know, to me, it's not needed, right? 1 hour before bed, I'd still do cut off the screens. Okay, so modify the rule where you feel like you need to do it, but just make sure you have that in the back of your mind. Don't eat too close before bed. Don't work right before bed, and don't have your screen before bed, right? Just follow that rule. It's amazing. You don't specifically have to do the 3-2-1 rule. And as long as you're following the formula of it. Now, real quick, it is important that you cut off your screens at least minimum 30 minutes before bed, right? So don't scroll in bed. Don't do anything in bed like that, because the problem is your screen, your phone emits blue light, and blue light impacts your sleep, right? So you want to try, 1 hour before bed, 30 minutes before bed. I like to do it, sometimes 1 hour, sometimes 30 minutes. You want to cut off all your screen, cut off, don't go on your computer, don't go on your laptop, don't go on your phone. Try to turn off the lights in the house, like just make it as dark as possible, right? So you can signal to your brain that it's time for bed, okay? Tip number 7 is reading before bed. Okay, this is amazing, such a powerful method. So I have a Kindle, I have it right near my bed, and I read until I go to sleep. Now, I'm telling you right now, mark my words, if you go to bed and you read, you will doze off very fast. Like, just read until your eyes just, when I read before bed, it gets to the point where I literally cannot keep my eyes open, and that's why I just drift off straight away, right? And finally, the last tip number 8 is temperature regulation, right? So temperature regulation, by the way, if you're wondering why I'm looking there, it's because my points are on my screen. Temperature regulation, this is very simple. Basically, you don't want to go to sleep when it's too hot and too cold. You want to have it in the middle, right? So, for example, don't go to bed having like thick layers of clothing on that's going to cause you to get too hot and warm, because that impacts your sleep. But also don't go to bed where you're extremely cold. So you want to try to find the balance right in the middle. And if you do that, you're going to go to bed way, way quicker, right? It's such a subtle thing, such a weird thing. But I used to try to go to bed being extremely warm and kind of hot, but it impacts your sleep a lot, right? So try to get it right in the middle so you can go to sleep very easily. Okay, so there you have it. Those are the 8 tips that allowed me to fix my terrible sleep. And it's important you do the same thing, because I cannot stress enough how important your sleep is, okay? And just to answer the question, how many hours of sleep do I need? I'd recommend 7 to 8 hours of sleep. However, it kind of does depend on you. So for example, in my case, although I try to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, 6.5 hours works completely fine for me, right? So you have to kind of figure out what your sleep pattern is, but under no circumstances is it 4 hours or 5 hours. That's just terrible, okay? So hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one.